Every day on The Price is Right was meant to go as planned. Then someone in college dropped a Plinko chip and got $10,000. She did it twice more. Things went dark before she could drop her fourth chip, though. Someone in charge grabbed the chip in the air and yelled, "The game is fixed!" The crowd stopped moving in shock. No one spoke for 15 minutes. This secret disaster almost ended America's favorite game show for good, and CBS did everything they could to hide it. Bob Stewart worked at WRCA-TV in New York City in 1956. He saw a live sale on the sidewalk of 50th Street one day during lunch. The thrill of people bidding gave him an idea. What if people had to guess prices on a game show? It was his idea to be an auctioneer. Stewart had already worked in radio and TV. He had worked at NBC and WNEW. Soon after, he met Monty Hall, who would go on to become a famous host. Paul put Stewart in touch with Goodson Todman Productions and asked, "Do you have any ideas?" The Price is Right came about because of that meeting. The first episode of the show ran on NBC on November 26, 1956, with Bill Cullen as the host. The pilot was terrible. During filming, Cullen hit a wall by mistake because a stagehand forgot to cue him. There was a trend in the 1950s where NBC bought the show before seeing the pilot. After the accident, the network tried to stop it and even gave Stewart and Bill Todman money to do so, but they said no. They were sure about the show, so they made NBC keep their promise. It was a good idea. American game shows were having a hard time in the late 1950s. It was a big incident in 1958 when a dodo player found a notebook with answers that were supposed to be for someone else. Someone looked into what happened at that moment. It became clear very quickly that a number of game shows were rigged. Charles Van Doren on 21 was the most well-known case. He had been taught and given answers ahead of time. Most of the big money game shows were gone by 1960. News networks had to clean up because of new rules and congressional hearings. But The Price is Right didn't go down with the others. It began on NBC on November 26, 1956. It was easy to read. The contestants had to guess the prices of common things without going over. You couldn't cheat. Bill Cullen was the host. Don Pertardo made a statement. People loved it. It quickly gained popularity, and by the fall of 1957, it had a version that aired during prime time. It was also the first color game show to air. Some shows were pulled from the air, but The Price is Right got more trust. It seemed honest to many. At a time when people felt deceived, that made it even more popular. Not many people watched the show in 1963, so NBC ended it. ABC quickly stepped in. The show moved to their network on September 9, 1963. Some changes were made. Don Pertardo was replaced by Johnny Gilbert. The main idea stayed the same even when famous people came on the show and played for random people in the crowd. Try to guess the cost. Do not cross. Lever Brothers, which is now known as Unilever, was the main sponsor behind the scenes. The show was used to advertise items such as Imperial Margarine, Whisk Detergent, and Handy Andy Cleaner. Their Dove Beauty Bar stood out. There were Dove bars for everyone every week, even if they didn't win. It was a smart message. Dove became a big name around the world. The company cut the size of the bar from 100G to 90G in 2022, but kept the prices the same or went up. The show's first run finished on September 3, 1965, even though they tried to keep it interesting. In 1964, the prime time version was already taken off the air. The afternoon show went on for one more year. People got really good at guessing prices, which was a strange problem. People were asked to bring in their answers for the home viewer showcase. One prize package had a 32-way perfect tie by 1959. The people who made the movies had to sort through sacks of mail and settle it by phone and message. It got too much to handle. The Price is Right came back on TV on September 4, 1972, after being off the air for 7 years. It looked and felt very different this time. It's back on CBS as The New Price is Right. They got rid of the old question style and made something new. Now the game was about guessing how much everyday things cost. It was a simple idea. The bids were in whole dollars, and the winners couldn't go above the price. It began as a short 30-minute show with only 3 price games. But that was enough. Caught on very quickly. By June 1973, the word new was taken out of the title. The show had found its voice. It seemed real. It seemed fair. Anyone could play it. You didn't need to be quick or smart. Just need to know how much things cost. That's the reason it worked. Many people were still thinking about the cheating on game shows in the 1950s, but The Price is Right seemed honest at the time. The show also gave us something we will never forget. Johnny Olson, a broadcaster, said something in 1972 that changed everything. "Come on down" was a simple phrase that became part of American society. The crowd lit up every time he said it. People ran to the stage, screamed, clapped, and hugged strangers. It was loud. It was a mess. It was fun. Over time, people began to practice their responses at home. A few people did cartwheels while others danced or cried. Over time, the show even showed old clips of people being carried to the front or falling down in shock. Those 3 words were the beginning of everything. After that, something else big happened. The show got twice as long on December 1st, 1975. There are stories that the move may have begun as early as November 3rd. It was a big deal no matter what. CBS made The Price is Right into a 1-hour show. That made room for 6 price games instead of 3. Plus, it gave them time for a brand new event called the Showcase Battle. The big wheel was first used at that time. There were 20 parts to the wheel. In 5-cent steps, it went from 5 cents to $1. People tried to get as close to $1 as possible without going over as they spun the wheel. If they got exactly $1, they got an extra prize. That bonus was $1,000 from December 1975 to June 1978. It got better over time and more free spins were added. The wheel was made to make stress. It was just right to measure and weight the pieces. It looked like the dollar was always close by but still tough to get. It helped us remember those times forever. Bob Barker was the one who made everything work. On September 4th, 1972, he took over as host of the show. He stayed until June 15, 2007. That is a total of 6,586 shows. He was also the host of Truth or Consequences at first, but The Price is Right took over his life. After the death of senior producer Frank Wayne in March 1988, Barker took on even more. He took over as the main producer. He worked with people to make games and even made The Price is Right $1 million Spectacular, a special version of the show that played during prime time. Barker was known for something else too. He said the same thing at the end of every show. He told her, "Help keep the pet population in check. Spay or neuter your pets." It became a part of the show's history. Every day, those words were seen by millions of people. CBS took a chance when Barker quit in 2007. Drew Carey, a comedian, was chosen to be the new host. The first episode of Carr aired in October 2007. Longtime fans weren't sure at first. Barker had kept his cool and looked good. Carey was more laid-back and casual at first, but he got into a groove over time. He's been the host of more than 3,269 shows so far. He didn't change the main idea of the show. He knew about history, but he added his own style and sense of fun. People magazine talked to Carey and she said, "No matter how my day is, as soon as I walk through the door at The Price is Right, it all goes away. All day long, it's just vibes." Something amazing took place on The Price is Right on July 22, 2008. Someone from college stepped up to play Plinko. It was the $10,000 slot where she dropped her first chip. People in the crowd cheered. The second chip she used did the same thing. Then her third chip also landed in the $10,000 spot. That never took place before. 3 straight drops in a row. She had won $30,000 already. The people in the room stood up. A lot of people were yelling. Seemed like magic. But just as she was about to drop her 4th chip, the mood changed. A floor director jumped up on stage. He jumped forward and hit the chip out of the air. Everyone went cold. "The game is fixed," he told Drew Carey as he leaned in close. The person was quickly taken off the Plinko table and told to sit at the stage's edge. Drew didn't say anything and left. The curtain came down. The lights in the room went out. Even though he said he didn't know what was going on, the speaker tried to calm down the crowd. The room was quiet for about 15 minutes. No one knew why the game had stopped in the middle of an important event in history. No one thought the truth would be so strange. It had been 2 weeks since the last episode of that show. They used the studio to film ads for the Price Right video game during that break. They rigged the Plinko board to make the ad look fun. On both sides of the $10,000 hole, they used thin fishing lines. Every time, these lines led the chips to the middle. It was a common trick for ads, but no one took out the lines when shooting for the real show began again. No one saw that the board was still set up wrong. Not Drew, the cast, or the stage managers. It didn't seem strange until there were 3 $10,000 drops in a row. It's almost impossible to have that kind of streak. The people who made it knew something wasn't right. In the middle of the tape, they stopped the game because of this. Thanks to CBS standards and practices, they stepped in. They decided that the winner could keep her $30,000 prize.